You are standing at the largest square in Paris, Place de la Concorde. This massive 86,400 square meter large place, located between the Champs-Élysées and the Tuileries Garden, dates back to the mid-18th century. The square was built to complement a statue of the French king Louis XV, which was raised in 1763. The statue was erected at the site to celebrate the recovery of the king after a serious illness. The square itself was created later in 1772 and was named Place Louis XV. However, the name Place Louis XV and the statue of the king didn't last for long. During the French Revolution, which followed, many buildings and sites with connections to the monarchy were attacked and destroyed, and the statue of King Louis XV was of course no exception. The surrounding square was also renamed Place de la Révolution. This as a direct counter to Place de Grève, which was a square where the nobility were entertained watching convicted criminals being dismembered alive. The Place de la Révolution was thought to be a reversed Place de Grève, where the people punished the nobility for their crimes and not the other way around. This symbolic name change and the reference to Place de Grève sent a grim message to the nobility of what was waiting ahead for them. The Place de la Révolution was the place where the famous guillotine stood. The first notable person to be executed was King Louis XV's grandson, Louis XVI. Following him came much of Paris nobility, all falling victim to the blade of the guillotine, often in front of the cheering crowds. The guillotine was most active during the summer of 1794, a period which has been called the Reign of Terror. In a single summer month, more than 1,400 people were executed by the guillotine. It is said that the smell of blood was so strong that herds of cattle refused to cross the place. The guillotine was removed 1 year after the Reign of Terror, and the name of the square was changed from Place de la Révolution to its current name, Place de la Concorde. This was done as a gesture of national reconciliation and a way to put horrible past behind. The French word Concorde means agreement, so the Square of Revolution changed name to the Square of Agreement. Today, Place de la Concorde is dominated by a large obelisk. If you take a closer look at the obelisk, you will see that it is covered with what looks like Egyptian hieroglyphs. While it might seem unlikely, the obelisk is actually an authentic 3,300-year-old Egyptian obelisk with hieroglyphs that praise the reign of Ramses II. This is one of the two obelisks given to France in 1829 by the Ottoman leader and founder of modern Egypt, Mehmet Ali. This 23-meter-high red granite obelisk once served as one of two obelisks marking the entrance to the Egyptian Luxor temple, and it is therefore known as the Luxor Obelisk. Today, the Luxor temple is a noted Egyptian tourist destination, but it only has one obelisk at its entrance. If you ever visit the temple, you will be one of the few visitors who know where the other half can be found. The top of the obelisk had been missing before its arrival to France, but in 1998 the French government added a gold-leafed cap at the top to complete the obelisk. The obelisk is sometimes called l'Aiguille de Cléopâtre, or Cleopatra's Needle. As you can imagine, moving this 230-ton heavy piece during the 19th century was no easy task. If you look at the pedestal on which the obelisk rests, you can see diagrams explaining the technique that was used during the transportation. The transportation issue was the reason that the other obelisk remained in Egypt, as it was even heavier than the one standing next to you. In the 1990s, President François Mitterrand gave the second obelisk back to the Egyptians. Another main feature of Place de la Concorde is its two large fountains, designed by the architect Jacques-Ignace Ittroff. If you take a closer look at the fountains, you will see that both fountains have marine themes. The south one, closer to the Seine, is dedicated to the seas, with figures representing the Atlantic and the Mediterranean. The north one is devoted to the rivers, with figures representing the rivers Rhône and Rhin. The same man who designed the fountains also designed the statue you can find at each one of the octagonal square corners. The statues were installed in 1836 and symbolizes the cities of Bordeaux, Brest, Lille, Lyon, Marseille, Nantes, Rouen, and Strasbourg. If you look north of the square, you can see two identical stone buildings, separated by the street Rue Royale. The eastern one houses the French Naval Ministry, and the western one is the classical Hôtel du Crillon. The hotel served as the headquarters of the occupying German army during World War II. To the left of the hotel, you can also find the US Embassy. Even though today's Place de la Concorde thankfully doesn't have a guillotine, it very much looks the same as it did during its early days, excluding all the modern traffic. As you now know, the square has played an important part in the French history, and it continues to play a central role in Paris' cityscape.